Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome in to this edition of Locked On Capitals, getting you ready for Capitals versus Penguins. Some roster notes to be made aware of, as Darcy Kuemper will not be in the game tonight. His wife had their baby and he will be by his wife's side, as he should. So what does that mean for the Capitals? That means that Charlie Lindgren will get his opportunity in net tonight. I ultimately think he is going to be up to the task. If we remember how Charlie saved the Capitals bacon last December when Darcy was injured, so I have no doubt that he will do just fine. So an interesting problem, I guess, that presented for the Capitals is they didn't have a backup goalie, so they had to call up Clay Stevenson. That's all fine and good, but they didn't have a roster spot available, so Alexi Protas got assigned to Hershey. Not really, though. It's just a paper transaction. So what that means for Matthew Phillips, that means that Matthew Phillips finally gets his opportunity to play in a regular season game for the Capitals. I ultimately think he should have been there in the first place. If you're an everydayer of the podcast, you know that I didn't think it was right that Anthony Mantha got a spot over Matthew Phillips. Matthew Phillips, the last two seasons, 30-plus goals for the Calgary Wranglers, so I just did not think that made sense. Anthony Mantha, suffices to say it's a bit of a bumpier ride, but the moral of the story is here that Matthew Phillips will, in fact, get his opportunity to play versus the Penguins. A big move for the Capitals, a big night for Matthew Phillips. It's going to be interesting to see how Charlie Lindgren does out there. Listen, we know that the Pittsburgh Penguins are always a big opponent for the Capitals, so this is going to be a big litmus test for the team to see ultimately what they have in the tank. We do know that Connor McMichael was waiver exempt, but I ultimately think that they didn't want to send him down to Hershey just based on his play. The other night, he had 10 shots on goal, so a really great opportunity for some new Capitals, young Capitals players to show what they have against a big opponent. I mean, make no mistake about it, the Pittsburgh Penguins are a big team that are poised potentially for great things this year. I guess my one cause of concern with Matthew Phillips would be his size. He is the smallest guy in the NHL right now. How is he going to hold up against getting, thrown around by some big Pittsburgh Penguins players? I guess he's been up to it thus far. I don't think there'll be any real issue. So just getting you guys caught up with what's going on with the Capitals. Again, to reiterate, Charlie Lindgren in, Darcy Kuemper with his wife, Matthew Phillips in, Alexi Protas assigned to Hershey, just a paper transaction. And that is what we know so far. It's looking to be a really great game. And I'm looking forward to see what this Capitals team has in the tank under Spencer Carberry, under these new systems. And I hope you are all excited as well. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.